Welcome to Bedtime Science. Some desert caravans once traveled for 6 months at the steady pace of a camel's footstep. They crossed entire continents guided by memory, wind, and starlight. Tonight we explore the quiet world of desert caravans and the nomads who cross the sand. In the next 2 hours, we will gently move through how camels became living vessels for the Sahara, how guides read the stars to find true north, how oasis settlements turned salt into gold, and how the silence of the dunes shaped travel itself. Before we begin, if you find comfort here tonight, you can quietly subscribe to join our late-night listening community. And if you are still awake, you can leave a gentle comment about what topic we should look at next. Now let's begin. The trans-Saharan trade routes were among the oldest commercial networks on Earth. They reached their peak between the 8th and early 17th centuries. A caravan's departure was a slow, ceremonial event. Merchants, guides, and animals gathered at the edge of a town. They set out in the cool hours of dawn, or often at night to avoid the heat. Caravans of the Western Sahara often held 1,000 to 5,000 camels. Hundreds of people walked alongside them across the open sand. About a third of all the camels in such a caravan carried only food and water. Water for the people, fodder for the animals. The largest recorded caravans held as many as 12,000 camels. The Muslim historian Ibn Khaldun documented these vast processions in the 12th century. Annual pilgrim caravans from Cairo and Damascus to Mecca could include more than 10,000 camels, living rivers of movement stretching across the open country. Even into the early 20th century, trans-Saharan caravans still moved in groups of around 20,000 camels. They were among history's last great land migrations of commerce. The desert had no fixed roads. Dunes shifted with the wind, erasing old tracks overnight. Guides navigated entirely from memory, smell, the position of the stars, and the feel of the air against the skin. Travel was almost always done at night during the hottest months. The temperatures dropped, and the sky became the most reliable map. A single crossing could take 14 days, or it could last several months. The Tuareg salt caravans from Timbuktu to the mines of Taoudeni covered 500 miles in about 14 days each way. Some modern Tuaregs still travel traditional salt routes. They cover up to 2,400 kilometers over 6 months by camel across the Sahara. These early observations describe the scale of the caravans themselves. The next quiet facts look at the animals that made the crossings possible. The dromedary camel is the one-humped species that made Saharan trade possible. Adult males stand up to 2.4 meters tall at the shoulder. A large male can weigh nearly 700 kilograms. The most well-known adaptation of the camel is fat storage, not water storage. The hump is built almost entirely of fatty tissue. In a healthy dromedary, it can weigh up to 80 pounds, or about 36 kilograms. When a camel's fat reserves are spent by long travel, the hump visibly droops to one side. A firm, upright hump signals a well-fed animal. The body keeps its own quiet record of the road behind it. As that fat is broken down during travel, it produces water as a byproduct of cellular respiration. The hump indirectly helps the camel stay hydrated, even when no water has been found for days. Keeping all that fat in the hump, rather than spread under the skin, lets the rest of the body cool itself. Fat is a strong insulator. Pulling it away from the surface allows heat to escape into the night air. The dromedary can lose more than 30% of its body weight in water. Most mammals would die from a 15% loss. When a camel finally reaches water, it can drink up to 100 liters in just 10 minutes. That rate of refilling would cause fatal swelling in any other large mammal. Camels can walk 5 to 7 days with little or no food or water. They can lose a quarter of their body weight without losing normal functions. Their red blood cells are oval-shaped, unlike the round, flat discs found in most mammals. The oval shape lets the cells keep flowing through narrow vessels, even when blood thickens with thirst. Those oval cells can expand up to 240% of their original size without bursting. In most other mammals, the limit is closer to 150%. The cells also live longer than usual. Their lifespan runs between 90 and 150 days. Oxygen delivery stays steady across the longest desert walks. The camel lets its body temperature drift through the day. It can fall to 34 degrees Celsius in the cool of morning. It can climb to 41.7 degrees in the afternoon heat. The wide swing reduces the need to sweat, saving precious water. The kidneys are also tuned for dry weather. They pull water back from urine before it leaves the body. Even small drops are recovered. A walking camel covers about 5 kilometers per hour. Caravans never trotted on long crossings, so strength was held in reserve for the full distance. A full day's walk of 8 to 10 hours covered 40 to 50 kilometers. For centuries, caravans moved at the steady pace of camel footsteps. That rhythm shaped the traveler's very sense of time. Camel feet are broad, leathery pads. They spread weight across soft sand the way snowshoes spread weight across snow. No hoofed animal can match the design. Camels have 2 rows of long eyelashes that shield the eyes from blowing sand. A third transparent eyelid sweeps grains away while the eye stays open. The system works like a natural windshield wiper. Their nostrils can close completely during sandstorms, sealing out the sand. When they breathe out, moisture is caught in the nasal passages and pulled back into the body, reducing water loss. Small tufts of hair protect the ears, keeping sand from entering. The lips are thick and tough, letting the animal eat thorny desert plants without injury. The bond between a camel and its handler was, and remains, deeply personal. Handlers speak softly to their animals. They learn individual personalities, and they rely on trust built over years of shared travel. The camel's body is, in a sense, a walking water management system. The lashes, the lips, the hump, the cooling skin, all working together. The dromedary did not adapt to the Sahara so much as the Sahara slowly shaped it. The next group of facts looks at what the caravans carried, and why a slab of mineral could be worth its weight in gold. Salt was the great treasure of the Sahara. So rare and precious in sub-Saharan West Africa, it was once traded weight for weight with gold. A block of salt could balance against a portion of gold on the scale. The salt mines of Tagheza, Taoudeni, and Ijel sat deep in the central Sahara. They produced enormous slabs of salt, carried by camel to communities that could not survive without it. The Taoudeni Trail stretched over 1,000 miles. It ran from Abuam in Morocco south to Timbuktu in Mali, passing through the Great Salt Mine itself. Slabs of salt were often coated in mud that was allowed to dry. The coating formed a protective shell against sandstorms and the rare desert rain. The gold fields of Bambuck in southern Mali once supplied about half the world's gold. The metal traveled north on camelback, helping fuel the rise of empires far beyond the desert's edge. A 90-kilogram block of salt, taken by river from Timbuktu south to Janneh, could double in value. Distance itself turned each route into a living financial system. The Moroccan cities of Fez and Marrakesh minted their coins from West African gold. The metal came from Earth 3,000 kilometers away, carried by camel across one of the emptiest stretches on the planet. The Darb el Arban, known as the 40 Days Road, joined the oasis of Kabe north of Sudan to Egypt. One of the oldest surviving caravan routes, it carried trade for 2 millennia. The Garamantian Road passed through oases between the Ahagar and Tibesti Mountains. It connected the Mediterranean with Lake Chad for 2,000 years. Hidden desert wells, known only to guides and local nomads, were the lifelines of every route. The location of a reliable well was guarded knowledge, passed through families across generations. Some wells took a 4-day walk to reach from the last oasis. A scout was sent ahead. Water was carried back to meet the approaching caravan in the open desert. The Berber guide, called a rise, was hired at great cost. He knew the routes by instinct, memory, and the night sky. Without these guides, caravans simply vanished into the sand. Caravans did not only carry goods, they carried news, religion, philosophy, and books. Timbuktu grew into a center of Islamic scholarship precisely because the routes brought both merchants and scholars together. These observations point to the trade itself. The next quiet facts move to the people whose home was the sand. Nomadic peoples have moved through the Sahara for far longer than written history shows. Stone artifacts, fossils, rock art, and bones appear in regions now far too dry for human life. They reveal old occupation during wetter climatic periods. The Tuareg people call themselves Kel Tamashek, meaning people of Tamashek. They are among the oldest nomadic cultures in the Sahara. Many of their traditions predate Islam. In Tuareg culture, it is the men who veil their faces, not the women. Their traditional indigo veil, the tajamust, gave the Tuareg their famous name, the Blue Men of the Sahara. The indigo dye of the tajamust was so deep that it rubbed off in the heat. Over time, it left a soft blue tint on the skin of the wearer. Tuareg society traces descent and inheritance through the maternal line. The women hold social authority. They take part in family and tribal decisions with unusual freedom for their era. Tuareg music carries the sound of the desert into the night. The imzad, a one-stringed fiddle, is played by women. The tind, a drum, is played at evening gatherings. Both are passed down through the generations. Bedouin tents are known in Arabic as Beit al-Shawar, meaning house of hair. They are woven from goat or camel hair. They are light enough to be taken apart and loaded onto camels in under 2 hours. Bedouin families typically moved camp every week or two. They followed water and grazing land for their camels, goats, and sheep across vast seasonal circuits. The Bedouin code of hospitality is called diafa. Any traveler must be welcomed with food, tea, shelter, and quiet rest for 3 days, no questions asked. The code made desert travel safer for everyone. The black goat hair tent stays 10 to 15 degrees cooler than the outside air. A canvas tent in the same sun grows 10 degrees hotter. Goat hair swells when wet, becoming waterproof. It breathes in dry heat. Its tensile strength is about 1.5 times that of sheep wool. Inside a Bedouin tent at midday, the air feels cool against the skin. Light filters through the loose weave of the dark walls. From outside, the same tent looks like a low, black ridge on the sand. Tea preparation is one of the most important daily rituals in desert nomadic cultures. Brewing tea over an open fire signals welcome, safety, community, and a small pause inside a long walk. Oral storytelling is the main medium through which desert cultures keep their history, law, ancestry, and identity. In Bedouin tradition, the dominant oral form is poetry. The debate genre called al-Nabati has roots in Sumerian culture 4,000 years ago. Mongolian nomads of the steppe represent a different but equally old tradition. They move 4 times each year, in spring, summer, autumn, and winter. They follow pasture and water across the grasslands. The Mongolian jur, often called a yurt, can be put up or taken down by an experienced nomad in under 30 minutes. The whole structure weighs about 250 kilograms. It can be loaded onto a single camel. A jur uses no nails. Its strength comes from tension. A wooden lattice wall holds poles that slot into a central crown. Layers of felt insulation are pulled tight under a waterproof canvas cover. The door of a traditional Mongolian jur always faces south. The southern door gives light and protection from the cold northern winds. The layout inside is guided by old cosmological meaning, with the hearth resting at the center of life. These facts describe the people of the sand. The next quiet observations rise upward, into the sky they used to find their way. The desert offered the clearest skies on Earth for navigation. The night sky above the Sahara was, and in remote areas still is, remarkable. There was little moisture to form clouds, and no artificial light for thousands of kilometers. Unlike oceans or forests, deserts offer no permanent visible landmarks. Dunes shift daily. Wind reshapes paths overnight. The stars were the only fixed reference system available across vast distances. The desert sky before sunrise and after sunset reveals planets, shooting stars, and the full arc of the Milky Way. The clarity is hard to imagine from any modern city. That sky was not decoration. It was infrastructure. Desert travelers in the northern hemisphere relied on Polaris, the North Star, as their most stable navigational point. Polaris sits almost directly above Earth's rotational axis. It remains nearly motionless while every other star rotates around it. To find Polaris, desert guides located the Big Dipper, also called Ursa Major. They extended the line formed by its 2 outer stars, known as Dub-Hin Merak. They followed that line 5 times outward until it reached the still point of the night. About 1400 years ago, when the great Arab desert routes flourished, Polaris was not yet the North Star. Earth's slow axial precession had shifted the pole away from any bright star. Arab navigators used a trio of stars that danced around the North Celestial Pole. The brightest, Al-Jadi, the Goat Kid, is the star we now know as Polaris. 2 companion stars were known together as Al-Farqadan, the wild cow calves. Together, these 3 stars circled the northern sky like a slowly turning wheel. Experienced guides could read their position to find true north at any hour of the night. For southern direction, Arab desert travelers used the star Suhail. In Western astronomy, it is known as Canopus, the second brightest star in the night sky after Sirius. Suhail rises just east of due south and sets just west of due south. It marks that direction with strong accuracy. Suhail sits about 310 light-years from Earth. Its luminosity is more than 10,000 times that of our Sun. The brightness makes it unmistakable, low on the southern horizon. The name Suhail comes from the Arabic word sal, meaning level or smooth. The name reflects both its low horizon position and its cultural role as a steady, dependable guide. The Bedouin did not only navigate by individual stars, they navigated by stories. The Pleiades cluster was called Athuriya, simply meaning the star. The little cluster was so well known it earned the definite article from early Arabian astronomers. Aldebaran, called Ad-Dabaran, the follower, was said to chase the Pleiades across the sky forever. The myth gave shape to a sequence the eye could already see. Orion was a favorite of the nomads because it is bright, easy to recognize, and rises and sets at predictable points on the horizon. By watching Orion, a traveler could read both the time of night and the direction of travel in a single glance. For people who lived under such a sky, the stars were neighbors. They had names, families, and stories. Desert nights are cold. After summer days of 40 to 50 degrees Celsius, the temperature can drop close to freezing. Night lows have been recorded near -4 degrees. The swing, sometimes 42 degrees within hours, met the stars with striking cold. Campfires served two purposes at once. They warmed the body against the cold desert night. They also gathered travelers around food, quiet talk, and rest before the next day's walk. The bells around camels' necks were a comfort in the darkness. Their low chiming let handlers track the herd. The sound reassured the travelers that the caravan was still together, still moving forward through the dark. These quiet facts describe the night. The next observations moved toward the small green islands that broke up the dry country. An oasis forms where groundwater reaches or nears the surface. Most lie above an old aquifer that has stored rainfall from distant mountains or from far wetter geological eras when the desert was green. Some oases tap water that fell as rain thousands of years ago. These ancient aquifers persist beneath the sand, preserved in geological formations from the last humid era of the Sahara. The presence of water triggers a cascade of life. Seeds carried by wind germinate around the spring. The first plants stabilize soil and hold moisture, inviting more. A small feedback loop builds a green island in the emptiness. Palm trees are the architects of oasis ecosystems. Their deep roots reach groundwater. Their tall canopies provide shade that slows evaporation. Their dark line of green signals life to travelers from kilometers away. Qanats are old underground aqueducts. They are one of humanity's most elegant engineering solutions for desert survival. These gently inclined tunnels carry water from mountain aquifers to lowland fields. They use only gravity. No pumping is required. Qanat technology dates back about 3,000 years. It was added to UNESCO's World Heritage List in 2016. Many qanats in Iran, Morocco, and Central Asia still feed farms and homes today. A typical qanat tunnel is about 1.5 meters tall and 1 meter wide. The size is just large enough to be dug and maintained by hand. Vertical access shafts, spaced 50 to 100 meters apart, appear above ground as quiet lines of earthen mounds. In Morocco's Tafilalt oasis, qanats are called kataras. They date to the 14th century. They still trace lines across the desert from the Anti-Atlas Mountains toward the town of El Jorf, visible even in NASA satellite imagery. Tea rituals at oasis towns were moments of social importance. After weeks in the open desert, the chance to sit in shade, drink sweet tea, and exchange news with settled people was deeply restorative. Oasis markets appeared in the middle of apparent emptiness. They were places where desert goods, caravan goods, and local produce met for a brief, vivid exchange before the caravans moved on once more. These facts trace the route between oases. The next quiet observations rest at the silence between them. The Sahara is one of the quietest places on Earth. With no wind, no vegetation, no water, and no living things nearby, the silence is not only the absence of sound. It becomes a physical presence, often described by travelers as deeply calming. Sand is one of nature's most effective sound-absorbing materials. Research has shown that sand panels can give broad acoustic absorption. Noise reduction coefficients reach as high as 0.85. The figure rivals engineered acoustic materials. The granular structure of sand absorbs vibration before it can reflect. That is why footsteps in open desert feel muffled. Distant sounds vanish within seconds of the wind dying. One of the most mysterious natural sounds on Earth is the singing or booming of certain desert dunes. At about 35 locations around the world, sliding sand produces low, powerful tones between 70 and 105 hertz. The sound resembles a foghorn, a drum, or a low-flying aircraft. Booming dunes can produce acoustic emissions heard up to 10 kilometers away. The sound can last for several minutes. The tones emerge from crescent-shaped dunes called barkhans, when sand slides down their faces. The mechanism involves friction between moving and stationary sand layers. The friction creates elastic waves that move outward in every direction. The frequency depends on grain size and dune structure. The dune itself acts as a nearly tuned resonant instrument. Singing sand requires very specific conditions. Grains must be round, between 0.1 and 0.5 millimeters across. They must contain silica. They must hold a particular humidity. Even small amounts of pollution on the grain's surface silence the sand entirely. After sunset, as the wind drops and the temperature falls, the desert enters a state of deep acoustic stillness. Travelers describe this silence as profound, broken only by distant camel bells, a low campfire, or the soft collapse of a faraway dune. Sand dunes create visible silence as well. Their long, smooth curves carry no sharp edges. No motion shows except the slow drift of surface grains in wind. The visual stillness amplifies the sense of a world paused. These observations rest in the silence of the sand. The next quiet facts move into the cities that grew from the roots themselves. Timbuktu was founded around 1100 CE as a seasonal Tuareg camp. From those beginnings, it grew into one of the wealthiest cities on Earth. At its peak in the 15th and 16th centuries, under the Songhai Empire, Timbuktu became a global center of Islamic learning. Its libraries held hundreds of thousands of manuscripts. Timbuktu sat at a crossing. The Saharan routes met the Niger River there. Goods, news, faith, and language flowed in every direction from that single point. The trans-Saharan trade that built Timbuktu fueled medieval West Africa's greatest empires. Ghana rose in the 9th to 11th centuries. Mali flourished through the 14th. Songhai reached its height between the mid-15th and the late 16th centuries. Mansa Musa I of Mali is widely regarded as the wealthiest person in all of recorded history. On his return from the Hajj in 1324, he reshaped Timbuktu. He turned a small desert settlement into a thriving center of trade and scholarship. Many of the old caravan routes are now buried under shifting sand or replaced by paved roads. Archaeology continues to reveal buried wells, ancient walls, and the foundations of caravanserais, the roadside inns where travelers once rested for the night. Imagine for a moment a caravan at rest. The camels have folded into the cooling sand. Their legs are tucked beneath them. They breathe slowly under the rising stars. A small fire burns at the center of the camp. The handlers sit quietly, wrapping their robes against the night cold. Above them, the Milky Way arches directly overhead. It is undimmed by any city, unbroken from horizon to horizon. The same stars Tuareg guides used to cross the Sahara also guided sailors across the Mediterranean. They watched over shepherds in old Arabia as the seasons turned. The light from those stars left its source long before the first caravan ever set out. The Pleiades cluster is about 440 light-years away. A traveler looking up at that faint smear of blue-white light, old or modern, was seeing light older than any recorded human civilization. A few threads to recall as the night grows quieter. The camels folded into the cooling sand. The stars tracing their slow arc overhead. The oases, small green islands in enormous silence. The routes stretching thousands of miles from salt to gold, from darkness to firelight. The bells of the caravan ring softly somewhere out beyond the dunes. The wind moves over the sand the way it has moved for thousands of years. Old wells remain hidden under stones. Stars rise and set in their ancient order. The Milky Way returns each night to the same sky. Camels breathe. Fires burn low. The desert grows colder, then colder still, until the morning blue begins to gather on the eastern horizon. Tonight, beneath the desert sky, winds continue moving across the old caravan routes once traveled for generations. If you are still listening, you can let your thoughts move at the pace of a camel's footstep. Slow, steady, patient, endless. Memory, stars, and shifting sand once guided whole caravans across deserts long before airplanes and highways. The same stars are still above you. The same silence rests over the dunes. Like footprints smoothed away by morning wind, the day's small thoughts begin to fade. Sleep gently arrives.